Let's take a moment to discuss risks versus benefits. In the readings as well as in the online content, we discuss a lot about the importance of risks versus benefits and us maintaining a balance between those two when we conduct our research. So I want to take a minute to break these down a little bit as we move forward. The first of these is risk. Risk is the cost to the participant to participate in your study. Risk can include costs that are not just monetary, they could also be physiological. So, anything having to do with their physical person, let's say maybe you're testing a new drug and that new drug could potentially cause more harm than good. That's a physical risk. Emotional, maybe you're interviewing them or conducting a survey on something that could be very stressful for them to think about, very stressful for them to relive. Perhaps you're doing a study on PTSD in veterans. That would be an emotional and psychological risk to them for participating in your study. Temporal, just the fact that it's costing them their resources. Temporal is their time. It could be the time that it takes for them to drive in, the expenditures that they make to participate in your study. Also, a cost to reputation. So we're going to talk about this in confidentiality and anonymity, but risk of loss of confidentiality is a risk in all research. We'll break that down in a future video. But what that means is if something that they share with you could be released or something from your study could potentially get out and be shared with other people who could then penalize someone for what they did or for participating in your study, that would be something related to their reputation. So let's say you're interviewing a teacher and her principal finds out what it is that you talked about, and maybe she said something negative about that principal in your study and it came out what she said, then that's a cost to her reputation. That's probably a cost to her job, potentially a financial cost if she loses her job for it. So that's not so much a direct risk as from participating in the study, but it's a repercussion that she could potentially have as a loss of confidentiality. So we'll talk about those later whenever we get to confidentiality. Benefit is the positives that come from a study. So, what the participant gains from participating in your study. This could include monetary benefits. Often we give participants some type of incentive to participate. That incentive could be money. Oftentimes you'll see entry into a raffle to win a gift card if you participate in a survey. There are other types of funding that we could potentially offer, especially in medical studies. You've probably seen the flyers around campus asking if you have a certain condition or if you're a certain age, if you want to participate in a study, and there's money being offered for your participation. So all of that would be part of a monetary benefit. There's also health benefits. So participating in this study, you could potentially lose weight if we're trying a new weight loss regimen or something health related. If we're trying a new drug for a condition that you have, there could be some potential health benefits for you. More often in social sciences, so education, community health, etc., the common good is also considered a benefit. So when I'm interviewing teachers about leadership styles that have worked best for them, for example, and I'm going off of a prior student study here, participants would say what worked best for them, what leadership qualities their leaders had that they felt was most conducive to them being able to do their job well. Us collecting that data and those findings are not going to benefit that teacher directly. She's not going to necessarily get any financial compensation from us for that. She's also not going to potentially reap any benefits from that in terms of changes in the leadership of the group that she's working with. However, she's adding to our knowledge of what good leadership is and what best practices are, which then could influence other people. So she may not directly benefit from it, but the community or the population as a whole may benefit from her participation in the study. When IRB is looking at risks versus benefits, they're looking for a balance. You shouldn't have something that has a very high risk with very little benefit. The higher the risk, the greater the benefit should be. So if we consider people who have a terminal illness who are seeking some type of treatment, perhaps that treatment has some potentially very harsh side effects, but if nothing else has worked for them, then the benefit of it potentially working would outweigh those serious risks that come with that particular drug. If you were looking for a new drug to perhaps help with male pattern baldness, for example, and one of the risks was, death or blindness, then we would say that, okay, so male pattern baldness isn't quite as dire or as significant an issue as, let's say, cancer is, and so we're going to expect greater benefits and less risks from those. IRB will also look at the benefits that you offer. If you're offering something that potentially you're offering a lot of money for somebody finishing a study, it shouldn't be so much to where they feel that they couldn't pass up on that particular amount of money. So risk and benefit, we're looking for a balance. When we're thinking about these, we want to think about the little r and the big R, the little b and the big B. Now, these aren't Creswell's terms or official terms. These are just my terms for applying this. We tend to focus on big R and big B. So big risks being threats to your physical self. Whenever you hear those drug advertisements on television for, potential side effects include, and they name all of these crazy things. Those are the things that we tend to think of with big risk. We also want to consider those little risks. What kind of stress is this going to put on my participant? How much time is this going to take away from that participant? Is it beneficial to the community enough that it's worth them giving up their time for this? For little b and big B, big benefit, of course, would be maybe we cure your cancer, or maybe we offer you a ton of money to participate in this study. Those are the big B's, the big benefits that are easy for us to write down and think of. But the little benefits would be those types of things, such as contributing to knowledge, contributing to the common good, helping other people. So the more we learn about your situation, maybe we can't fix your situation, but by studying your situation and getting your input, we could maybe help someone else who's going through the same thing. So the important thing here is to look for balance. IRB is going to be looking for balance, and in describing and developing an ethical study, you should be able to strike a balance between risk and benefit for your participants.